years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
You know about the 20 years of trying. You know about the 20 years of frustration. You know the celebration, the incredible receiving line of crew members waiting to congratulate the Intimidator following his biggest NASCAR win. You probably know about the lucky penny inside the car. But I'm here to tell you some things you might not know, or might have forgotten, about Dale Earnhardt's epic 1998 Daytona 500 victory. Let's start 3 days before the race. Earnhardt did not feel well, at all. Saddled with a bad stomach virus, he raced in the qualifying duels Thursday and won. Fox Sports analyst Larry McReynolds, Earnhardt's crew chief back then, could tell Earnhardt was not himself.
And he was absolutely on Thursday for that duel race. He felt horrible. And so I could see it in victory lane. And when we kind of came out of victory lane, I said, "You feel pretty bad, don't you, pal?" And he said, "I feel absolutely horrible."
So McReynolds came up with a plan to skip the first practice Friday morning, and then they would just run a few laps in the Friday afternoon practice to shake down the new race engine. They would then get after it a little bit in Saturday practice, which was the common MO in those days. But rain washed out the second Friday practice, and they would have to do all their work on Saturday. Not exactly ideal, and then things got worse.
And when he went down pit road, as that practice started, he said something's wrong with the engine. So he went around, came back in, the guys raised the hood, they pulled the spark plugs out, made sure nothing was wrong there, put a new set of spark plugs in, checked a few things out, closed the hood. Dale left pit road, grabbing gears, going down the back straightaway. He said, "Guys, I'm telling you, something is wrong with this engine." They came back in, they pulled the valve covers off, and sure enough, we had a broke rocker arm and a bent push rod. Danny Lawrence and that group, they very meticulously changed those out. And I'm getting nervous now. I'm looking at my watch, and we're halfway through final practice, and we've not turned a lap since the last lap of the duel race on Thursday. But we went out there, he made about a 20-lap run, and that's the best the car had been.
Something else happened that Saturday. Many of you might know about the penny given to Earnhardt from a Make-A-Wish child who gave up her lucky coin so that it would help Earnhardt win the Daytona 500. Earnhardt took that penny and glued it to his dash. The girl, Wessa Miller, wasn't even supposed to be at Daytona. She wasn't supposed to live to age 5 as she battled spina bifida and also a condition that requires a shunt to drain fluid from her brain. That 6-year-old girl is now 31 years old, still living in Kentucky. Also on that Saturday, Earnhardt's son was involved in a hard crash in the Xfinity race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had planned to attend his first Daytona 500 to watch his dad go after that elusive Daytona 500 victory. Instead, he was back home in North Carolina, laying on his couch with a washcloth on his head trying to recover. He watched, along with most, as legendary quarterback Dan Marino waved the green flag that day.
The 40th Daytona 500 is underway.
While Marino had waved the green flag, Earnhardt had compared himself to another quarterback that week in John Elway, who had won his first Super Bowl with the Broncos that year after 3 previous trips where they came up empty. Earnhardt had that confidence as he started behind a front row of brothers Bobby and Terry Labonte, the first time siblings had ever led the field to the green flag of the great American race.
Back of the 4th place car, Earnhardt looking at Michael Waltrip.
Earnhardt ran near the front for much of the race, and as they approached the halfway point, he ran 3rd. Why is that important? Well, Earnhardt had led every lap in a Daytona 500 except for 4. Lap 96, lap 97, lap 98, and lap 200. He didn't lead lap 96 that day, he didn't lead lap 97, and he didn't lead lap 98. Would he lead lap 200? There were plenty of reasons to think not, considering Earnhardt took a 59-race winless streak into the event, a race where he went winless in his first 19 tries. In 1986, he was leading when he ran out of gas with 3 laps to go. That marked one of 4 times where he led the Daytona 500 in the final 10 laps, but he didn't win. In his most recent Daytona 500, he flipped with 11 laps remaining, and he got back into his crumpled car and still finished the race in typical gritty Earnhardt fashion.
He had over 30-something wins at that speedway between IROC, Xfinity, the Clash, the Duel, the Summer Race. He just never had been able to close the deal in the 500. How close he came. You know, a flat tire going into turn 3 on the final lap of 1990. Engine blowing up, fuel mileage deal, even hit a seagull one time.
But there also were plenty of reasons to think this could be Earnhardt's year, just like it was for Elway. As McReynolds mentioned, he had dozens of wins in various series at Daytona. It was the 50th anniversary of NASCAR, so for those who live in a world of storylines and fate, this seemed like it was Earnhardt's time. Leading the field under caution with about 24 laps to go, a voice came on Earnhardt's radio in a story you might not know, and certainly wouldn't happen today. A little bit of background. Earnhardt had a long friendship with Bill France Jr., the sport's longtime chairman whose father had founded NASCAR 50 years earlier. McReynolds had been warned the previous year that France would sometimes talk to Earnhardt on the radio, but they had run so poorly in 1997, France never radioed Earnhardt. So imagine McReynolds' shock when he hears a voice on his team radio that he knows doesn't belong to any team member.
And all of a sudden, over our radio, I hear this voice say, "Hey, Sunday Money, this is Captain Jack." And I'm telling you, I about lost my mind. Captain Jack's just about to get the cussing of his life, and I think Richard Childress saw how I was reacting, and he just about came off the pit box and tackled me and was pointing toward the NASCAR tower. I went, "Oh, Captain Jack, okay." And basically what he said, "Hey, Sunday Money, don't you think it's time to go out there and snag that big one?" And Dale said, "Captain Jack, I'm gonna do the best I can."
Earnhardt, whose yacht was named Sunday Money, did his best, and it was good enough this time. The caution came out with over 1 lap to go, and in those days where drivers raced back to the start-finish line when the caution came out, and with no overtime rules, Earnhardt took the win under caution, battling Bobby Labonte on the final lap of green. The place went nuts, and then something happened that Daytona had never seen. Fans at home saw it live at a time when typically the telecast would be in commercial. Play-by-play announcer Mike Joy explains.
Usually, after the checkered flag, driver comes around, TV goes to commercial, promising victory lane on the other side. But Jim Cornell, who was the associate director in charge of getting us to commercial, said to producer Lance Barrow, "Wait a minute, something's happening here," as what we called the world's longest receiving line formed on pit road. It was pretty cool, all the way until Dale pulled away from pit road and did those donuts, which formed the number 3 out in the ball field grass there. That was really, really cool.
It was a special moment even for those who didn't win that race.
I just love thinking back to all those crew members lined up down pit road to congratulate him and to just show the respect and honor that he so much deserved. And it was cool to be a part of that race. He was so loved and admired, especially by the team guys and all the guys that worked so hard on the cars. Not only his team, but his competitors. You know, the people that he raced against just appreciated who he was, and that was really a cool way to show that respect.
All those crew members understood what it took to get there. As Mike Joy said, 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. That line of his as Earnhardt crossed the finish line seemed perfect for this situation. How long did Joy rehearse it or have it in his head?
It was completely unrehearsed and unplanned.
Seriously? It sounded so perfect.
The best you can do in those situations is emote and let your senses take over. What you see, what you think, what you feel, and it'll happen. I think all of America was agonizing with him. Will this finally be the day, and if not, why not? So as he came into turn 4, that was just all that emotion welling up, as I think it was for America. Finally. And that was the line that stuck. 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. You know, and here we are. It had been quite a journey. It was quite a day, and it was quite a moment.
Yes, it was. And this is the way many will remember.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500. Finally.
Hey race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.